So there's so much news that goes on during the week. There are so many stories that I do not have time to touch upon. And I'm going to be taking a couple of days off. I got some personal stuff to deal with. And it's the weekend, so I really want to enjoy that stuff. But I wanted to give you a kind of a rapid fire breakdown of the things that I missed that I wanted to get to and I think you should know about. So, first of all, the FBI redacted Trump's name from the Epstein file. That's according to Bloomberg. And that was the whole thing about, Pam Blundy. She's got like 100,000 pages of the Jeffrey Epstein documents, and they wanted time to go over it. They canceled the FBI's schedule all across the country to bring in hundreds of them to review these documents so they could expunge Donald Trump's name from it. Anyway, just lining this all up so they can get past this whole Trump Epstein collusion thing. By the way, how many pictures of Donald Trump have we seen with Jeffrey Epstein? How many times has he referred to him about the young girls and what have you? The other day, he was just talking about how Jeffrey Epstein stole one of my employees, a very young girl. She was 16 years old, who was working as a masseuse at Mar-a-Lago. But he stole it from me, stole my property, and that's why I kicked him off of my property. Anyway, Ghislaine Maxwell was moved from her current prison to a minimum security prison in Texas. That just happened either today or yesterday. And it's kind of telling most of us that are paying attention to this that Donald Trump is lining her up for a pardon. All she's got to really do is just say Donald Trump didn't have anything to do with this. It was only Bill Clinton and Bill Gates and a bunch of other Democrats and some Hollywood elite. Donald Trump wasn't involved, and I guarantee you she is going to get herself a pardon. So just be prepared for that when it happens in the next couple of weeks so you won't be shocked about it. But Donald Trump is already out there going, well, I have a right to do it. I mean, I'm not saying anything, but I have every right to pardon her if I want to. So a sexual predator who witnessed testimony from the victim said that she was literally in the room doing the child molestation, doing the actual act of, sexually taking advantage of young girls. She was there doing it with Jeff Epstein. And now she's going to get a pardon. So, great. Earlier today, Trump wants to, he's doing anything he can to distract from this Epstein thing. So he had a whole bunch of former athletes and athletic celebrities with him at a press conference. He wants to bring back the presidential fitness test that they used to do in school. They got rid of it, and now Donald Trump wants to bring it back for some reason or the other. I think it's honestly just about a distraction. But the irony of it is that he wants Linda McMahon, the wrestling lady who is in charge of the Department of Education, to send all of it back to the states, but at the same time, contradictory, now wants to do a federal presidential fitness test for kids. Make up your fucking mind. Do you want the federal government involved in school, in athletics, or anything, or do you not? I mean, just make up your fucking mind. Brown University is the next university that has lined up to kiss the boots of Donald Trump and his new fascist movement in this country by giving him a $50 million bribe. And of course, they also agreed to get rid of their DEI program, to ban gender affirming care. Is Brown University doing gender affirming care? Get the fuck out of here with that. And also agreeing to have a government watchdog that is, to be able to come into the college to go over all of the professors' lesson plans to make sure that there's no wokeness in it. This is what happens when you compromise with a fascist. It's basically an extortion racket. It's the mob. It's the mafia. Give me some money and I will protect you. Meanwhile, I'm going to go through all of your books and paperwork and make sure that I can extrapolate and, suck out all the power that you have. So good job, Brown University, for just licking the boots of the fascist leader. Great. Fantastic. Speaking of pardons, Donald Trump might pardon Diddy. He's already talking about it. He's floated the idea out there, getting people used to the idea. The guy we saw in the videotape dragging a woman back into an orgy that she was desperately trying to get away from, dragging her ass by the head, the head of her hair, dragging her down a hotel hallway back into the places she was desperately trying to escape. That guy, Mr. Freakoff himself, he's going to get a pardon. He's going to get a pardon, man. Donald Trump is going to pardon him, and P. Diddy is going to, I guarantee you, he's going to buy some Donald Trump Bitcoin, or he's going to slide him some kind of big ass donation into a super PAC, and then Donald Trump's going to pardon him. We have literally legalized bribery for pardons. If I'm not mistaken, it was a couple of weeks ago, I did a story on a big MAGA donor, a wealthy woman who donated like $1 or $2 million to a Donald Trump PAC, and then went to a Donald Trump fundraiser and begged Donald Trump to pardon her son, who had just got convicted of tax evasion and taking like $10 million out of his company to buy a fucking yacht. And then within a couple of weeks, Donald Trump pardons him. So all it takes is just you pay the fee, you get the pardon. Donald Trump be loving him some criminals. And Donald Trump has been in many photos with P. Diddy. So, he's a buddy. He loves the freak off shit. Oh, by the way, speaking of, the whole Epstein thing, the camera in the jail cell, that has morphed from, there was 1 minute missing. And it happens every night. It's when the tape flips over, because the system is old. It's from the 1990s. And that's 1 minute missing. It turns out it's 3 minutes missing. Well, some internet sleuths have gone through all of the hours of the video that they did release. They found that it was done with, the chop in the middle, changes the aspect ratio. It's 3 minutes missing. And by the way, the camera that they show you that's facing the jail cell, that's not his jail cell. The jail cell is the one directly beside the camera that you can't see. That was the camera that failed, the one that was pointing in the other direction. That was the camera that failed when Epstein died. And, of course, the security guards, both of them were asleep at the time. I mean, it all sounds like a bunch of horse shit. But anyway, some internet sleuths went over that video that was released, and it turns out that they saw what they're calling an orange blob, meaning there is a figure wearing an orange jumpsuit. So possibly a prisoner, an unidentified man in that video. It's very well possible that he had 3 minutes to go in there, do the deed, and get out. I mean, if I'm not mistaken, Jeffrey Epstein, in his first suicide attempt, he was in a jail cell with an ex-cop who had killed 4 or half a dozen people. And he was in the jail cell the day that Epstein first attempted to kill himself. Killer cop in the cell with him. I don't know. It smells pretty fucking fishy to me. The Smithsonian, they lined up right next to Brown University, and they did their little bribe because Donald Trump threatened to take away their funding, which, by the way, you think this is going to be the last time that he messes with you? But the Smithsonian took down their impeachment exhibit, which had Donald Trump impeached along with Bill Clinton and a few other presidents. And Donald Trump was impeached twice. I don't care what you say. He was impeached twice. It happened for damn good reason. We know exactly the last one was because he tried to overthrow the fucking election. And the one before that was a quid pro quo bribery deal. Hey, Zelensky, you want your weapons to fight against Ukraine? Well, open up an investigation on Joe Biden and then we'll let those weapons come in. Until then, good luck fighting the Russians with your rocks. So, I mean, there was a perfectly legitimate reason to impeach him the first time, and there absolutely was a legitimate reason to impeach him the second time. But Donald Trump is rewriting history. Dictator 101. Rewrite history, erase all of the shit that I don't like, and force all the government agencies to bend to my will. Kamala Harris. She looks like she's going to be running for 2028 because, every time somebody who is about to run for public office, they have to release a book. And she has released a book called 107, referring to the 107 days of her campaign against Donald Trump last year. And she says that ever since Donald Trump won, I have been reflecting and I've been journaling and I put all of my journal thoughts into this book. Woman, there is a damn good reason why you lost. And it's got nothing to do with wokeness. It's got nothing to do with 107 days. It's got to do with the fact that you turned your back on Gaza and then you went full on centrist and you walked out on stage, several stages, with Liz fucking Cheney. That's why you lost. Anyway, we can expect more of the same for her. By the way, if you're wanting to be the leader of the free world, where the fuck have you been the last 7 months of this fascist takeover of our country? Ain't got nothing to say about snatching people off the street without any due process, bombing willy-nilly, talking about bombing countries that have not attacked us, like Syria and in Iran, and wanting to take over Greenland and the Panama Canal, and this ridiculous trade policy that's throwing us into a recession, or any number of things that Donald Trump has done in the last 7 months. Where the fuck have you been? Oh, you've been journaling? Oh, that's great. Wonderful. Are you going to run for president? She was just on Stephen Colbert the other day. I think it was Stephen Colbert. And he asked her and she was very coy about it. Well, I don't know. And then the crowd was like, yay, Kamala Harris is going to run again. Honey, that is a repeat that none of us need. Amnesty International was on CNN the other day with Wolf Blitzer, and they say that Israel is doing a genocide, which is correct. They are doing a genocide and an ethnic cleansing. They are trying to rid their country of the scourge of Palestinians, and they're doing a slow-moving genocide, killing roughly around 100 people every day, not to mention all the people who are starving on camera right in front of everybody. And Amnesty International was on CNN with old Wolf Blitzer and said it's a genocide. And immediately, the first thing out of Wolf's mouth is, but does the Amnesty International still condemn Hamas? Go fuck yourself, Wolf. Go fuck yourself. We're almost 2 years into this fucking genocide, and the first thing out of your mouth is, do you still condemn Hamas? Go take a long walk off a short pier, you old, decrepit fuck. Israel is shooting 80 to 100 people every day, and they're starving Gazans. They are literally killing people in the West Bank. They are trying to make a greater Israel by invading more of Syria and Lebanon. And they want to ethnically cleanse the remainder of the Gazans and put them in another country. It's the very definition of a war crime, everything that they're doing. But do you still condemn Hamas? Staying on this topic, there is another American citizen that was killed in the West Bank by settler who burned him to death. His name is, I believe, is Kamas Abdul Larf Ayada or something like that. I'm butchering the name. I am so sorry. But this makes like 10 American citizens. They're Palestinian, but they're also American citizens who have gone to the West Bank and have been killed by settlers. There was, I don't know if you remember this, but it wasn't that long ago, maybe just like a month ago, one of the writers of the Oscar award-winning documentary called No Other Land, he was killed in the West Bank. And the No Other Land is literally about Palestinians living in the West Bank and how hard and difficult it is. That guy got killed by a Israeli settler in the West Bank. Fucking AIPAC owns our goddamn government. And it doesn't matter if you're American or not. If you are a brown Palestinian in Israel, they want you dead. And I did a story recently about I believe he's a Marine or an Army Ranger who went to volunteer at the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation. That is where, Israel has gotten rid of the WHO or the UN providing food to Gazans. That's why you're seeing all the starving people out there. And they have gotten all of the Palestinians from Gaza to come down to 4 sites in southern Gaza near Rafah to get food. And while they're down there, begging for food, the IDF and a few U.S. military mercenaries are shooting at them. As soon as they stray out of line, they get shot and killed. There was a story a couple of days ago that I never got a chance to say. There was a little 5-year-old kid who had just gotten some food. He had just ate. He came up to an American soldier who was there, a mercenary, and he kissed his hand and he said, he's saying, thank you so much for giving me food. I was so hungry. And he walks away with some food. And as he's walking away, he gets fucking shot. A 5-year-old kid gets fucking shot and killed by the IDF. Anyway, that whistleblower said, I believe he was on the BBC, and I did a story on this, and he said that it's a hellscape, and he quit after he saw what was going on with the shooting of starving people, and he said it was a clusterfuck and it was intentionally so. I mean, that's what this whole thing is. If you wanted to feed the people, you just open up the border and allow the UN to bring the food in. There's hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of trucks just waiting to bring in medical supplies and food and water and what have you. They're not letting it in. It's intentional. Anyway, that whistleblower got in the news, and it's causing a lot of backlash. So Donald Trump is setting up a little propaganda thing where he's sending Mike Huckabee, who is the American ambassador to Israel, another Christian Zionist who is waiting for end times and Jesus to come back for the rapture. And Mike Huckabee and, Witkoff, who is Trump's envoy to Israel. And they're going to do a little propaganda Gaza tour where they go out there. And while they were out there, food was getting delivered. Nobody was getting shot. It's all very calm and peaceful. And then I guarantee you in the next couple of days, Mike Huckabee and Witkoff are going to be on the news going, hey, I don't see any problems. It looks just fine. We brought camera crew. Look, everything is fine. Nobody got hurt. It's all good. It's all good. What are you talking about? Meanwhile, we've seen all the videos. We've seen the bullets flying. We've seen the people getting shot. We've seen the fathers picking up their kids, crying, picking up their dead child, and all the starving kids out there. But no, everything is fine. We're going to have a propaganda film for you. Drop Site News dropped something about this, that Bibi Netanyahu has hired a group of ISIS mercenaries to steal any food that Gazans get at these Gazan humanitarian foundation sites. And that way he can go back and say, see, Hamas is stealing all the food. And it's a group of ISIS gang that Netanyahu is paying to do this. More. Randy Fine, who is a bastard, piece of shit, conservative Congress representative in Florida, who has said stuff like, we should do to Gaza what we did to Japan back in World War II, implying that we should drop a nuke on them, who has said that Rashida Tlaib and Ilhan Omar should be arrested and deported for being Muslim terrorists. He's a wonderful guy. By the way, he's like 400 pounds, talking about, telling the Gazans to starve away. A 400-pound fat fuck telling people with no food to starve. Yeah, anyway, Randy Fine, he was bragging about getting a Florida State student expelled for saying fuck Israel. I mean, the free party of free speech, he's literally bragging about getting this student expelled for saying fuck Israel. Dude, it's called free speech. Do you want it or not? No. We get to have free speech, but not for you. You say things we don't like, we're going to take that right away from you. But I get to say, drop a nuke on Gaza. I get to say that Rashida Tlaib and Ilhan Omar are terrorists and we should deport them. I get to, say starve away to the Palestinians. But you can't say fuck Israel because that's anti-Semitic and you just got expelled. And I'm so proud of myself for it. Fuck you, Randy. Fuck you. The student loan thing that Joe Biden did, where during COVID they were able to to lessen the load on student loan repayment to an extent to help out people during the COVID crisis. And, people didn't have money then, and it's difficult to pay your loan back. He also tried several different ways to lessen the amount of student loans that were out there. Well, Donald Trump has since reversed that. And the Department of Ed has gotten rid of the SAVE Act, which now, starting this month in August, it's going back to the full amount of payment, and not just the full amount of payment that you owe, but full amount that you owed before Joe Biden helped to get rid of some of those loans that you owed. So it's not only going to increase this much, it's going to increase, and backdate it. So those of you with student loans out there, you've got that to look forward to. Canada, France, UK, a lot of European countries, they've all gotten together and they said that they want to recognize a Palestinian state. Personally, I think that's a little too late, but they're seeing all the starving kids out there and they're trying to hedge their bets and do everything they can to make sure that they are on the right side of history before history ends for all the Palestinian people. So, they're planning on doing it this September at the UN gathering that happens every year, and they want to announce that in September. Let's see. Fortune magazine, they say that half of the internet is bots at this point, which is mind-boggling to me, that half of the people that you interact with online at this point you're not even talking to a person. You're talking to a bot. I've actually had a bot conversation before, and I didn't realize they were a bot until like I was like 5 or 6 comments deep, because they weren't answering anything that I had to say. They just kept going on about the same point, and they were belligerent about it. And then I go look at their profile, and they have a random name with just a couple of friends and a fake anime picture. And I'm sitting there going, I'm arguing with a fucking robot here. But according to Fortune magazine, nearly half of the internet is just bots, just bought and paid for bots. And in the article, it also says that 3/4 of Twitter is bots, which totally tracks. I mean, you're not talking to anybody on Twitter unless you're talking to a fascist or a robot. That's all that's left on Twitter. It's a fucking hellscape. Anyway, Eric Adams apparently submitted fake petition signatures, according to the Gothamist, local paper here, the Gothamist. You know, he is running as an independent for mayor because Zoran Mamdani won the Democratic primary. So Cuomo and Eric Adams are both running as independents. And he, you've got to collect petition signatures, and it seems like that he had been faking the funk. So he got busted at that. But honestly, I mean, I don't think he's going to get any comeuppance for it. But personally, I think that Zoran is going to beat both of them. It would be easier for Zoran if those two were fighting for their own select few billionaire voters, and the rest of us voted for Zoran. But I think that Zoran could beat either one of them. I'm not too worried about it. I'm sure there will be fuckery afoot, but Eric Adams is already sticking his fuckery foot in it as we speak. I've spoken about this guy before. His name is Ryan Walters. He is the superintendent of the school board in Oklahoma. And some of the stuff that I've spoken about before is that he got Bibles back in school, but not just any Bible. He got Trump Bibles because he wanted to do a little sop for Donald Trump, and he bought thousands of Trump Bibles to put in all of his schools, because we're bringing Christianity back to schools, church and state. Fuck that shit. Let's bring them together, baby. That's how it works. That was one of the things that he did. But recently he was in a meeting with, 2 or 3 people, school board members, and a couple of them saw on his television screen that he had facing away from them, they saw that he was looking at porn right in the middle of their meeting. And he immediately got all flustered about it and tried to get rid of it, and he couldn't get rid of it. And he was like floundering all over the place, and it was as obvious as hell. So, I mean, just another, self-righteous, just indignant Republican talking about bringing morality and religion back to back to school, yet is looking at porn in the middle of a school board meeting. Fantastic. I mentioned, I've mentioned this a couple times, but Texas is really getting down with the redistricting. States are allowed to redistrict every 10 years according to the census. We have a census every 10 years as people move around the country and matriculate. They have a census every 10 years. That way that they can do a recount of every district and do a redistricting program. They're not supposed to do it in the middle of those 10 years, but Donald Trump says we need as many, because the big beautiful bill passed and everybody's pissed off, and Donald Trump is worried that he's going to lose the House in 2026. It's a very distinct possibility that he could. So he is instructing all of his red states out there, including Texas, y'all need to get it together and start, doing some cheating for me. And redistricting in the middle of the decade is absolutely cheating. So Texas is well on their way, and they're trying to get 5 more Republican seats in Texas. Well, Gavin Newsom has seen this. Democrats have seen this, but Gavin Newsom, and I'll give him credit for this, he saw this and he's like, fuck around and find out. He said that he is going to, if Texas does this redistricting in this year, that he is going to redistrict California. And talk about a huge amount of Republican voters it's like a 40-60 split in California. 40% of California is Republican, 60% is Democrats. So, but they are not the most gerrymandered state. Texas, Ohio, and several others are, I think North Carolina is the worst of the gerrymandered states. And Gavin Newsom's California is gerrymandered a little bit, but not even close to those other states. And Gavin's like, oh, you going to do this? I'll just gerrymander the shit out of California. Good luck with that. You're going to get your 5 new Republicans in the House. I'm going to get 15 in California. So good on Gavin for doing that. The trade thing is still going on. Donald Trump he gave Mexico another 90 days. Apparently, he likes Shine Bomb down there, but they were facing 25% tariff cost, and Donald Trump says, I'm going to give him another 90 days, so he tacoed out of that one. But he's pissed off at Brazil and Bolsonaro for prosecuting his boy, not Bolsonaro, Lula. He is pissed off at Lula for actually holding Bolsonaro accountable for trying to overthrow his election in 2021. Except in Brazil, they actually prosecute criminals, where here we elect them. But Donald Trump is pissed off because he loves him some Bolsonaro. He was Brazil's Donald Trump. And Donald Trump's like, well, since you're prosecuting my friend, I'm going to put 50% tariffs on your country. Well, Brazil and Lula, he don't play, man. He's already made a deal with China for soybeans. The soybeans that China used to buy from us, now they're buying from Brazil. So Donald Trump throwing his weight around with his little tariff project, it ain't a-working. He's also threatened to put 50% tariffs on Canada because Canada said that they were going to recognize a Palestinian state due to all the shit that's going on in Gaza. And Donald Trump, let's make Israel great again. It's got nothing this is not America first, man. Don't give me shit about America first when you are throwing tariffs on an entire country, an entire population, because they are going against your policy of backing Israel to do whatever the fuck they want to do. So America first, my ass. A jobs report came out, I believe it was yesterday, for the month of July. Now, they had a jobs report back in June and one back in May. And both months, each respectively, they said that there was about 145,000 new jobs for each month, respectively. And, excuse me, they have since had to do a revision because they were wrong about both of those numbers. 145,000 for each. That would be 290,000 jobs for the months of May and June. Well, they've revised those numbers from 145 in May down to 19,000 jobs. And they've revised the month of June from 140 something down to 14,000 jobs. That's a tenth of the number. And the July forecast that they're saying is that they have created, I believe, 73,000 jobs. Well, if the last 2 months standard holds true, it looks like we might be in the negative for this month. We've lost jobs. I mean, for the month of July, we have already lost 26,000 manufacturing jobs just this month or last month. 26,000 manufacturing jobs. So this whole tariff thing to bring jobs back to the country, not only is it not working, we are losing jobs. We've got countries all over the planet walking away from the dollar, walking away from trade deals with us and starting to make little trade alliances on their own. Donald Trump has accelerated China becoming the economic hegemon on the planet. He's hastened that into overdrive. We are moving at lightning speed for China to be the new, economic hegemon. And the irony is that he is tearing up the economic model that Republicans have spent the last 45, 50 years building, that has benefited America more than any other country economically. And he is just tearing it up and wiping his ass with it. This is the beginning. I mean, we're just 7 months into his presidency, and we're already looking down the barrel of a recession. God, I hope it's not a depression, really. The costs for the Qatari jet that Donald Trump got as a gift from the Qatari government that he wants to retrofit and turn into the new Air Force One. It was a $400 million luxury jet that is supposed to be awarded to Donald Trump after he leaves office, but we as taxpayers are paying for it. Well, the retrofit the estimate is anywhere between $500 million to $1 billion to retrofit this $400 million luxury hotel, flying hotel in the sky for Donald Trump. Not only is it going to cost, it's going to cost us $500 million to $1 billion to retrofit it, so it'll be appropriate for the president of the United States, but then he's going to get to keep it. Give me a fucking break. They're going to give it to the Trump Presidential Library, and then he's just going to confiscate it. And it's my plane. I'm going to keep it. Oh, speaking of luxury, they are spending, I believe it was, the press secretary, Carolyn Levitt, said that the government is going to spend $200 million taxpayer dollars to build a new gold-plated ballroom for the White House and for the president. Talk about somebody who doesn't want to leave the office. He's acting like he don't want to leave. He's turning the White House into fucking Mar-a-Lago. But it's supposed to be 90,000 square foot luxury gold-plated ballroom that is bigger than the White House itself. They've already paved over the Rose Garden. They've gotten rid of the Rose Garden, and they put concrete out there so they could have places for women to stand in high heels, is what he said. But they've gotten rid of the Rose Garden. Now they're building a $200 million ballroom. I mean, is this the Gilded Age or what? I mean, it's so fucking gilded. Gold-plated ballroom. Oh, I heard Donald Trump the other day bragging about $150 billion that he has, that we, the country, has made from tariffs, which is a tax on all of us. Prices of goods are going up. We are paying anywhere from 5, 10 to 20% more for the goods that we were able to get last year. We are now paying for it. American people are paying for those tariff costs, those tariff hikes. That is a tax on us. And he is literally bragging about $150 billion in tariffs. Where's that money going? I guess it's going to the ballroom. But when's the last time you heard a president bragging about the tax revenue he's taken from the American people? I mean, get the fuck out of here. Let's see. Is there anything else? Oh, yeah. Tourism has hit a record low in the country, and Las Vegas workers right now are complaining that they can't pay their rent because nobody is coming into Vegas anymore. It's very little amount of people. So that's great. That's wonderful. Anyway, that's all the stuff I've got for you today. I am so sorry that pretty much all of that was bad. It's wretched, but it's just stories that I don't have time to get to, and I wanted to make sure that you got a chance to hear them over the weekend, so you know what we're looking forward to in the next weeks to come. Anyway, I hope you have a wonderful weekend, and if you wouldn't mind, please liking and subscribing. I'd really appreciate that. It really helps me out in the algorithm, and I will dance at your wedding, and I will sing your praises. Anyway, have a lovely weekend, and I will catch you next time. You take care. Bye-bye. Hey guys, thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed what you saw, please like and subscribe. Keep rocking.